So here we are. Joseph is his character is standing on the first floor of the O'Malley real estate. The three vampires who raided and attacked the three of you were not overly committed to giving pursuit. They were disorganized in that regard. You did not get any clear indications of who these people might have been or exactly why they were there. They spent some time just like milling about the first floor and even peeking their heads into the second floor, but quickly they did leave because they realized all of the gunfire would attract the attention of police officers who are kind of in this precinct under basically your umbrella. So they quickly pieced out. There was the dark blue sedan. It's definitely one of the three, or two or three that you guys have noticed the prior session, and they're left. The retainers, Rain, as well as Evelyn, had escaped as well. They're not anywhere that you can immediately find. It's possible that Evelyn used her phone to call the police as soon as there was situations up there on the first floor, and that could possibly be where they responded so quickly. Byron and Marcus, your two characters, even Byron, who's so heavily slowed, you managed to get away. There's no one pursuing you. Beast is, is rampant in your chest, and perhaps if you were still alive, the adrenaline would actually make your heart beat, but you're not. Just cold, pale concern, and the fact that obviously you have opponents who may very well like to see you dead. You're looking at about, by the time everything came to its senses, 5 a.m. We're not that far from sunrise right now. Maybe 2 hours. What would your characters like to do with this remaining amount of time?
Just a little aside, can you pull my tag back onto the other thing? I had my all my stats listed there on the other character token.
Sure, I certainly can. Let's go ahead and migrate you all back to O'Malley Real Estate.
I'm gonna take a nap for a little while. Kind of sleep off light,
Perfectly understandable. And I am sorry that things ended up transpiring how they were and you ended up being deactivated again. I thought all four
I
of you
think
would
that
be
was
around.
awesome and hilarious, actually. I'm just really, really happy I didn't end up killing anyone.
Certainly is nice that that situation ended up being resolved the best way possible. Alright, so you all should be back on the O'Malley real estate map, and I guess with you three remaining player characters, sorry, I'll make our friends here disappear. Go away. What would the three of you who've scattered like to do? You want to get in contact with each other again? Do you want to try calling up? Marcus doesn't have a cell phone on him. You got 2 hours until sunrise. Some folks are hungry. What happens now?
Byron's going to call Evelyn, check in with her, let her know he's okay, and hopefully she's okay.
She was definitely concerned. She actually eventually made her way back to her apartment. Just basically a plan that she had made for herself if anything ever went south. And she's very concerned about you and is immensely happy to know that you're all right. And, she would actually greatly appreciate it if you came by her apartment.
Yeah, Byron's going to do that, and he's actually going to ask her if she wouldn't mind giving him a blood point so he doesn't flip the F out.
Well, of course she wouldn't mind you feeding from her. We'll go ahead and say that you're stalwart enough at this point. There's no need to end up making a self-control roll. I'll go ahead and say I don't know exactly what your self-control is. I don't know when you dip into hunger. What's your self-control at?
My self-control is 4, so that means that...
Yeah, you're not hungry right now.
No, I would be when I woke up, though. I would lose 1, I'd be down to 2.
Right. In that case, go ahead and you're free to take as much blood from Evelyn as you'd like. Of course,
I'm just going to take the 1, just so the next day I can go feeding if I need to. Although, how much does it take for me to heal up to not be injured? I guess I should ask.
Well, you would need one blood point per health level you'd like to heal. Um,
All right.
yeah,
Well, then I take 2, which leaves her a little dazed, but I don't want to hurt her. But I want to get my blood point up 1 and take away the injured, so I'm just bruised and hurt right now.
right. Okay. So yeah, you can certainly go ahead and do that. And she, might be a little lightheaded, but she's perfectly okay with doing that for you. Let's see, Joseph, Marcus, what are you two characters interested in the aftermath of this?
There's probably not enough time to get over to Elysium to tell the sheriff what happened.
Nope. You would be cutting it awkwardly close, and you'd rather not do that.
So Marcus is going to heal up a bit more, and then he's going to go back to his haven. Well, he's going to take a long roundabout route back to his haven. So if anyone is following him, they're gonna have a bitch of a time following him. And then he's going to sleep, and then tomorrow he's going to go immediately first to Elysium, tell anyone who's there that's important about what's happened, and then go to the party.
Okay.
That's the plan.
All right. And Joseph's character. If you all end up getting in contact with each other, you'll all end up hearing that, of course, Rain would be very interested in getting in contact with Joseph through the cell phone too, assuming she has one.
I wouldn't know. I guess if I remember right, I said that both Craig and she had one, but I didn't. Just like both of them can drive and I can't.
Right. Okay. She can go ahead and have one. Of course, she's very concerned about her being, your ghoul and all. But eventually you two managed to link up. She's fine. She just bailed with Evelyn at the sign of trouble. Evelyn knew her way out of the building, and you vampires and your crazy vampiric things did not notice the humans escaping.
That said, I'm going to go straight home and to sleep.
Okay. In that case, that ends up resolving that, and given the temerity of the situation, basically everything that's happened, we'll go ahead and draw the session to a close right here.
One thing though, Grimith, not to shoot myself in the foot, but can Crimson actually feed from Evelyn? She's not hot. Just being honest.
Oh, yes! I forgot. Well, since I forgot, we'll go ahead and let it go. That was my failure to properly enforce your well, she's a ghoul. Maybe in this case it's an exception.
All right,
It,
I'm fine with that. It just occurred to me after I was done.
it's certainly a fair point, given the fact that her appearance is definitely not 4 or higher, but as a storyteller, that was one of my many failings over the course of the past 4 chapters, and so I will go ahead and let that go. It's good that you pointed it out, though. All
Well, I do
right.
appreciate it.
So here we are at session's end. Assuming you guys even want to keep playing with the session, if you guys want to take a week of a break and 2 weeks from now, or you guys want to continue with next week, just a sense of ideas of basically everything your characters might be looking into attempting to do during all of this downtime, which might include removing the stake from David and whether you guys wanted to just give him mortal blood, maybe animal blood. It's not like he's going to be able to taste it anyway. You just feed him rats, crush him in front of his mouth. Stuff like that. Whether you even care about him, that's what you're calling, what your characters actually care about attempting to do the session, then given the fact of how exactly the awakening process takes, you guys would pretty much end up with a month of downtime before David is restored to functionality. And I will have to be devising a derangement for him, given how he botched that. Considering the situation, I know the session's ended on quite the sour note. Some explanation for myself. The whole combat situation was planned and devised and led up to based upon events that happened towards the end of last session. How the characters possibly very well tracked you all through Joseph, because after Craig's escape, whenever the two left the Muncie expediting and storage building that was abandoned, neither of them are overly observant compared to, say, Marcus. And so through trailing them there, they end up trailing you back to here, and there was a planned strike by 3 vampires, the likes of which you're not entirely sure. It was something that was definitely planned to be done, though, to attack you guys. I did not quite foresee the combat situation, but I thought it would be a bit unfair were I to suddenly say, no, these vampires are going to be taking a break. They actually decided, we're not going to act on the information. Whether that seems as callous on my part or not. I was going through the justification of what the characters I thought would be doing, given the fact that they had actually pinpointed people who they'd seen as enemies, which would be to attack them.
With that in mind, I'm completely fine with you putting us in that combat situation. Although, me as a player, I'm kind of mad that I didn't get to a single point of damage, even though I hit them so many times. I completely understand.
The characters had taken the time to spend most of their blood to increase their dexterity and stamina to superhuman levels. They knew this was going to be a planned strike upon all of you, and so in preparation, all the time they took outside was to properly align their kindred powers accordingly.
Yeah, and as Aaron said, if he had not frenzied, then it would have been a very different fight. He would have
Certainly,
been
there
able to jump.
still only would have been 3 opponents, because those were the only 3 who ended up tracking you down. And so, because David had been separate from all of you for the entirety of last session, so you pretty much would have had an additional surprise fact in the fact that you had a very angry and very powerful Nosferatu.
Right, and we would have
Which,
had blood
again,
flows.
I'm so happy I didn't end up killing one of you guys. Like, I would have been happier with David dying than one of you guys dying.
I'm wondering if it's not time for Joseph to become a little bit more suicidal in favor of, someone that can actually fight.
There's no need to throw the characters under the bus like that. You all have certainly learned a lot over what has happened. This session, although we never really saw the exterior of the O'Malley real estate office, you've gotten a whole lot of sense of how, like your characters as neonates living their sort of charmed life in Astoria, it's just the fact of how dangerous things really are in the city. The extent to which David and Marcus understood due to the fact that they're combatants, but now that everyone's really got a grasp of.
I'm personally wondering, in the same way that Jordan mentioned during the fight that he was tempted to diablerize David, how much of a temptation that would still be for Marcus, and more importantly, for Joseph, because I'm sitting in his haven.
Well, for Marcus, I don't think it would be much of a problem anymore because he was at 1 blood. He was at 1 blood point, so he was pretty much just like, feed now. Look, look, there's a perfectly good corpse filled with blood. Let's eat it.
But
Now,
I will
food
say,
and putting into tummy now.
yeah, we were upstairs and David was in the basement, but he got really powerful really fast. So I think Marcus might be able to figure out he's a pretty powerful vampire. I mean, from a, higher than 13th generation. Let me put it that way.
You still get some major things even if you diabolize someone that's your same generation, don't you?
Only
No.
temporarily.
Yeah, only temporarily.
If
If you want to permanently lower your generation, it has to be a vampire who has a lower generation than you do.
Yeah, I know you can't lower your generation, but I thought you got one of their dots of discipline or something. I don't remember.
Just
That's-
temporary benefits.
That's in Requiem.
Okay.
Too many darn rule sets.
I understand.
But yeah, if I were
Which
to
is actually...
Diablo,
Go
I
ahead.
would have. If you guys had not taken him away, like right when I said, I would have started diablerizing him.
In which case, we might have had 2 torpor vampires.
And then the combat would have been really fun because the two guys who are really good at combat would be out of it.
Well,
Well,
Joseph can just obfuscate away. He didn't have to reveal himself. None of those guys had 4 dots of auspex to even attempt to see him.
Patsy mode on is what you're saying.
yeah, and I mean, if Marcus had started running immediately, they couldn't have caught him, I assume.
No, none of them combined. If he had especially focused on dexterity combined with his celerity, even if they could have caught him, they might have just focused on the slower people instead. But normally, no, they wouldn't have had, say, they have closer to above average physical attributes, but for the purposes of that, yeah, sure. They spent their blood points to get dexterity and stamina and perhaps even strength on one of them. Who knows? Up to 6.
I
Because
could
they.
totally see Mr. Battleaxe having boosted strength.
Oh yeah, if Byron had not done the incredible forward-thinking thing of paralyzing him, Mr. Axe had had some potence.
He
Mr.
had
Axe with lethal damage might have done some things.
he had some questions to ask us.
And he was not
No,
going to shave them for later.
no, 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 no.
Hey,
It's
I'll
not
be
funnier
actually,
when you say it, Aaron.
Is this a little bit ponderwhelming for you, Dave?
Yeah, it is. It is. Oh, and now that everyone knows, that's a big reason I'm not using my real name, because it would get confusing talking about Davids and Dave all on the same stream.
That's true.
But yeah, no, I am, I do, even as like a DM or GM or storyteller, I feel almost apologetic for, if the players do end up in a poor situation, if only because, as the referee, I could have fudged things or outright lied to you all as White Wolf tells me I can do. It's just the situation where I knew they were going to be attacking because it made sense for them to do so, and so they did.
I know exactly that feeling, and I prefer it the way you did it.
I totally agree. Even if Byron had ended up dying there at the end when he was left alone, I still would agree.
Yeah, I agree too. The only thing worth noting is that even between the 4 of us, our most combat-heavy characters have combat as a secondary idea.
Right. And it certainly changed things a whole lot, where if, perhaps if one of you had frenzied and gone into torpor and actually left David around, considering the fact that he does have a decent combat focus, and, well, he can spend 3 blood points per turn.
yeah, that's a big thing. If the fact that he can just go, yeah, I'm gonna spend 2 blood points upping my strength, and I'm gonna use a point for celerity, is a big deal.
It is. It's a really big deal.
It's certainly worth noting that these guys, it's unlikely that you were attacked by 3 8th generation vampires, so, it just made more sense for carefully expending their blood points to prepare for an ambush of sorts.
I also find it. I'm kind of wondering if you guys liked the way that I sort of staggered my blood point expenditures, boosting strength immediately, not boosting dexterity until it was important in character for me to run up the stairs, not boosting stamina until I actually got hit with something, that sort of thing.
I thought you role-played it exceptionally well, actually.
Okay.
If only you didn't roll so dang well, it would have been perfect.
Yeah, I mean that's David's roles. Always either tons of successes or botches.
And he certainly had clearance to escape from the frenzy, either through, he could have, tried to burn through all of his willpower, and, or, whenever I gave, like, that lower self-control roll after he broke the CD, if, he hadn't
Again,
rolled
those
2
double
1s.
botches. Like I said, always either tons of successes or botches.
I will tell you, after I used Dominate, and I still think I'm going to have to answer for that in a month on Byron, but I was really
I certainly
expecting
don't
to rip
fucking
my
think
head off.
so. Like, bitch, I could have killed you the entire month you were paralyzed and torpor. Shut the fuck up.
Out of character, um, The first order of business for David once he wakes up is making an entire round of apologies.
Right. That was him being enfrenzied and out of control of himself, and that's certainly not anything he would have done were he not.
I
Yeah,
mean,
it's
here's the thing. David doesn't view the beast as some separate entity. He views that as all on him, losing control.
right, and that makes sense. And in terms of Byron, just in case you haven't picked it up, um, Byron was pretty well blood bonded and dominated by Lydia there in Luxembourg, and he knows how it feels, and so that's why he's a little hesitant. He'll use it on Kine. He doesn't give a flying flip about that, but he is going to be a little guilty about having to use it on you, to be honest.
Oh, I didn't notice that you guys said you blood bonded me.
No,
They hadn't. They hadn't.
We had
No.
yeah, we were talking about it though.
Yeah, they discussed it, but they never came to any sort of conclusion. And I certainly feel free, you three active player characters, to spend this entire month talking amongst yourselves, because, I mean, you'll have an entire month past. Your characters can share whatever details or knowledge you want to with one another of
I
how
mean,
you want to handle this moving forward.
I'm already at a second-degree bond with Marcus, so there's that.
Marcus is going to be making a third degree. He's just going to make certain of it.
Yeah, as long as you're sitting down in there, I think after that, I think Joseph's concerned enough with the whole thing to be willing to do that.
I understand.
I'm going to have to think on it with Byron, honestly, because like I said, he's got reservations. He might end up doing it anyway after thinking about it, but give me a
I,
day or two.
I just want to note how extremely detrimental it might be if multiple characters attempt to blood bond a vampire, if you are attempting to work together. Like,
Right.
if all three of you want
It's
to
about-
attempt to make him, then he'll have three competing blood bonds in him.
Even just one person trying to bring me all the way to third degree could very likely dramatically alter David's usefulness to the group.
Yes, as
Yeah.
well as the entire coterie dynamics.
Yeah, I think Byron. I mean, I'm actually going against it. He's not gonna question Joseph too much because he doesn't know too much about the split. But if Marcus wants to third degree blood bond him, Byron, he's not going to like it. I mean, he can't forbid it, but he's going to definitely say that he does not want that to happen.
I'm not 100% certain Marcus will do it or not now. I think he'll definitely think about it.
Certainly so, just like your character would have thought about attempting to diablerize a powerful vampire, certainly of a much lower generation than yours.
Which you still have an entire month to consider.
As does Joseph.
I mean,
Hope he
Marcus
doesn't
will
get too hungry.
I think Marcus will only consider it insofar as I'm really fucking hungry and he's in the neighborhood. That's the only time he'll actually consider diablerizing him.
I mean,
But the chances are it's not going to be hunting and Flushings.
I mean,
Yeah, if you're hunting in Russians, then there's something wrong already.
Even without the blood bond, um, after David goes around and apologizes to, well, everyone, there's a good chance that he might go into isolation for a little while after this to kind of think things through.
Makes sense to me.
you've had an entire month to think things through.
I kind of haven't, unless Torbor works differently in Masquerade. I thought that it was sort of like being trapped in like a nightmarish dream for the entire time.
You don't call that thinking things over?
What's the inside of your mind like, Grimith?
Take that back right now. We don't want to know.
But yeah, I mentioned to you the plans I might have regarding setting up a backup bug out sanctum, or haven rather, right?
Yeah, you told me.
I might end up, like, depending on how things turn out in the next in-game month or two, uh, he might end up going that route and kind of dropping off the radar for a few months,
Okay.
just because it makes sense in character. You know what I mean?
All right. So, let's see. The book doesn't expressly say whether. It just says that it's a death-like sleep. I can't really tell you whether vampires dream or not. So I
Still
don't
probably
know.
not much space for thinking things through.
Right. It would be more of a constant nightmare of reliving the frenzy.
And also importantly, depending on what derangement he does or does not pick up, that might be all the more reason to go into a period of isolation to try to work that out for himself. Because I assume that since it's not a Malkavian derangement, it would be curable
Yeah, certainly.
eventually. So that might be a reason to go on a sort of sabbatical.
It could be, or it could end up perhaps giving you the sense that you might not want to leave the city.
Sure, and it could even, yeah, like I said, it all depends on what ends up unfolding.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
why are you going to sabbatical?
God damn it. Oh, you bastards. Oh, man.
That was a good one. I liked it.
Alright.
I was debating whether to give him a 30-second timeout or whatever, however that works. I won't. You guys liked it.
it,
I thought it was
when you
horrible.
say like,
But anyway, Aaron, so your character's pretty much going to be gone for more than a month now?
It depends on how things unfold. At least a month.
right, he's obviously going to want an extensive information dump whenever his character finally awakens. And what we could have this end up being is I'll have just David automatically succeed on his awakening roll, and perhaps the next session take place maybe a day or two after he's awoken, so that you all can basically tell him everything that's transpired. So we don't actually have to do that at the start of the next session.
We could also
One,
do something like give me a temporary character like a ghoul or something to control until David reawakens.
That certainly could be the case that you guys could take as well if you ended up wanting to start and just have David still be in torpor or whatever.
Because, like I
I,
said, I don't necessarily want you guys to delay an entire month just because David's in torpor. There are other options.
I think it all really rides on what information we can get. I think David's probably the one with the best information, and he may be the only one that can. We don't know what information he's going to get from our contacts and allies, and he may be the only one that can interpret it. We don't know. So it all really depends on what information we can get about how long we wait before acting on it.
Well, it's something that might be prodding you along towards taking action is the fact that apparently there are at least 3 vampires who knew where your primary base of operation was, waited until you were all there together, and attacked you. If you guys wait
Yeah, this
another
is
month, I mean, although out of character, I wouldn't launch any other attacks, but you all would have that in the back of your minds the entire time. Is this the day someone tries to ambush me?
Next time they might come with firebombs and ghouls.
well,
Right. That might have been an overconfident attack on their part, where they thought they would be absolutely sure of victory. They might have been novices to the whole concept. They thought they could simply bulldoze over you, and perhaps you were stronger than they genuinely thought. They might pursue better strategies now that they've learned, okay, shit.
right. Yeah, I was thinking about that too. When I was saying Byron is going to rebuild the business, but if they came to that front doorstep and broke it down, how is he going to be able to do that? I need to put more thought into that as well. But I mean, it's entirely conceivable that Byron could spend the next month rebuilding the business, but he's going to be pretty wary, probably. You're right.
Well, it should be. These obviously were not the sharpest vampires in the drawer, and certainly not the most powerful. Or else they might have had a more coherent attack. They might have actually stuck with pursuing you instead of giving into bickering amongst themselves. They might have focused fire upon an individual person instead of separating out. They might have thrown in fucking grenades into the damn room instead of just charging in blithely.
Well, I think what Marcus is going to do all depends on what happens tomorrow. I mean, he's going to go to Elysium. He's going to try to get into contact with the sheriff. And he's going to tell him what happened, and then he's going to go to that party and he's going to hobnob it and probably
And if you're
Valentine's Day.
interested in that, Marcus, there is a little mini session that we could have involving Jordan, the actions of Marcus, the character. If you have time sometime during this week for like 2.5 hours.
That would all depend on when you would want to do it because I am in college, so it would all have to be sometime that would have to fit well in that within my schedule.
Of course, we all have schedules. It'd certainly be more towards the evening. I'm not gonna like hit you up at like 10 a.m. in the morning and be like, "Hey, time to play."
4 a.m. Wake up.
I'm usually awake about 6.
Well, you're weird.
That's right. You're a psychology biology guy.
Clearly, I've resculpted my own mind and biology in order to be a better person.
Sure, I'll go along with that.
That's possible. Not in that case. We'll go ahead and get this out of the way now. I'll say you're officially done. Ultimately, though, I want you to end up making a few dice rolls for me if you don't want to, basically you're going to be so busy that you don't want to role play it out. And this was something I was going to present to you, regardless of what happened this session. In this case, first, whole concept of charisma plus etiquette. Difficulty 6. I still have the server up to see if you can mesh in well with the others that are there. Because these folks are certainly a very special class of elite people. And there's lots of photographers and paparazzi who are waiting outside who could unfortunately not be included with this.
So yeah, I think I got one success.
That's fine. And then the ultimate thing, the option that would be left up to you, would be a performance thing. Charisma plus performance. Difficulty can be from 6 to 10, whatever you would like to set it at. And you don't have to decide that now. You can decide it again if you want to say, get back to me and just have me roll. It's up to you to decide how hard you want to try in a performance of sorts if you want to actually try to show off your musical talents while you're there at the costume party.
I think I'll set it at a 7.
And say you could certainly do that, and multiple successes might end up applying as well. You don't have to decide that right now. It can just be something that you want to take the time to think about.
Yeah, I'll think about that.
But yeah, with that situation, the world is your oyster. At any rate, experience points. See, Aaron's character will be earning 3. As it turns out, he's experienced great things such as the collapse of everything around him. And he roleplayed that, I thought, fairly well, the fact that he was suddenly thrust into the fact that he had to deal with a frenzy, particularly once he botched that situation. As for you other 3, due to everything that transpired, Jordan, your character Marcus, Sean, your character Joseph, and Cripson, your character Byron, all earn 4 experience points. As it turns out, whenever you're not thrust into torpor and can actually go through the entire session, you learn more.
Who knew?
Makes sense to me.
Are there any questions or thoughts you as players have about what transpired? Any problems that you have with me personally?
I don't like your nose.
That's fair.
Yeah, nobody does. We all try to ignore it.
Cut it
Question.
off.
Is this month enough time to learn potence?
Yes.
Okay. That is the only question I have. Otherwise, I had an amazing time tonight, Grimith. Thank you.
Dittos. And, Byron is interested in Auspex as well. He would have mentioned to Marcus at some point.
A month of time is certainly long enough for you to learn the rudimentaries, enough to invest your experience points.
Marcus is willing to teach because he thinks everyone needs to be more aware of what's going on now.
And hey, man, blood debt's cool, or blood bond is cool. People need blood debt.
All the cool kids are doing it.
All
For
the cool
real.
kids are getting one with Marcus.
Sean, what is Joseph looking into? Will it be a continued investiture of looking into willpower, or is there something? I mean, with the amount of things that have transpired in the past few sessions, your characters have ended up exercising a lot of things. Maybe not conscience so much for Joseph, but many other things.
If I could tell him how bike is down. I'm actually wondering if it's time to start looking at Auspex.
Oh goodness! Don't.
Well, if
Everyone's gonna.
if you want a teacher, there's a guy here that knows what he's doing.
Next fucking session, like, it just, like, starts having people where, like, everyone has, like, heightened senses on. Suddenly a floodlight turns on. Oh, jeez! You're all crippled.
I'm just thinking of us all being being Marcus's male harem almost, all wanting to be where he is.
I thought this was resolved that Marcus does not feel that way.
Hey, yeah. Well,
All the
I mean,
worse.
Byron is still not giving up on the betting.
And, so yeah, David, David might be able to spend some experience points on things, but he wouldn't have exactly gotten that opportunity for protein, Aaron.
That's fair. I'm still going to be pursuing it though.
Okay,
If David doesn't decide to go on to a sabbatical.
right. I'd say, but obviously he experienced and exercised things of his own, so if you wanted to put the experience points to something else, it's just not quite protein. If you wanted to hold on to him, that's perfectly fine.
Yeah, I'm going to be holding on until I've got 17 experience points because that's going to be enough for the first 2 dots of protein. Once I've got more than that, that's when I'm going to start spending it on other stuff.
Okay.
Well, yeah, Sean, I'm willing to teach. Marcus is willing to teach Joseph Auspex. If you
Teach
don't want
everyone everything.
if you don't want to learn Auspex from him, it's completely fine. Just saying, I'm right here.
Yeah. Just for Byron, in Byron's case, the Auspex is on my list. I want to look more at. I'm 1 point, I think, from getting domination 3 dots. I have to look at that and see what that does, but pretty sure.
I definitely would say that Byron's talents have proved itself as useful to the party this session.
3
Byron
dots and
part.
dominate lets you selectively edit memories.
Yeah.
Byron party
Yeah,
MVP.
he might be waiting for that.
So,
That just
Session
sounds too
MVP.
awesome.
but maybe not
I'm
such an MVP, but the fact that, he had the axe guy drop his axe. Axe guy didn't have a
only
whole lot of
weapon that
willpower
did
at his
damage.
disposal.
I honestly think
No,
When
I
it
mean, I
comes-
got a 6 off of what, 5? I mean, it was pretty low.
when it comes to who the VP is, I would probably have to put it at either the guy that ripped out David's throat or the guy that shot him in the head.
Yeah, it's Joseph. For Byron, it's Joseph. He's redeemed himself for killing that guy in Byron's eyes.
Because if that hadn't ended when it did, it was about to get a lot worse.
Alright. At this point, I will I'll start looking at the chat again and see if you all have any questions for me. I assume that we're still going to have a session next Saturday, so providing that Jordan is able and willing, he will broadcast it just as he did this one, and the one before.
You should be there. If you forgot, 3 p.m. Eastern Time.
And will this be posted on YouTube as well, Chaotic Idealism? I've done an audio recording of every single session up to this point, including last week's, which was streamed on YouTube. Jordan will not be uploading these video sessions to YouTube. If you want to review them, you're gonna have to come to his Twitch channel, which you are here, or else you can't ask. Would it be possible that the players might be more interested in looking at weaponry and maybe keeping it where they are?
Oh, that's right up there on top of my list of things to be looking for and asking about and doing.
We do have a
Byron?
guy.
Good.
There's a guy we know that sells weaponry. I mean, we kind of have not used him 4 sessions
Well,
in.
here's the thing. I'm assuming there was, if not a good stash of weapons in the basement, certainly a lot more than we had, until I destroyed them all.
There certainly could have been, like, maybe a few light pistols or something that you kept back there in emergency
Right,
until
some,
the fact
some
that,
junk guns, some machetes, that kind of thing.
until the fact that David just suddenly decided to, bend them all over his knee.
Byron's going to be studying up on AR-15s and maybe get one with a 6.8 barrel or something on it.
Holy shit, just going off the deep end with it.
I think
yeah.
Larry has a question for you, Grimith.
How do I manage experience point rewards? Well, for Vampire, it's I follow the suggestions as is given in the core book. 1 automatic point for simply playing in the session. 1 automatic point for learning curve, if the players start revealing to me about things they potentially learned. Perhaps 1 or 2 experience points for role-playing, and 1 experience point for heroism. The 3-player characters who actually went through the entire session learned a lot more than David did, but David still ended up learning a lot through his failures, particularly about himself, for he completely lost self-control after seeing his failures basically shoved in his face. And to that extent, I hope that I answered all of your, like, pre-game, like, a Skype IM questions that you guys were asking each other about, like, I wonder what's going to happen with all of this. Did I do that?
Yep, you did.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
I certainly thought that was fair. The Perception plus Larceny difficulty of 6, by the way, that I had you roll at the first roll of the session that we had, a little mini session last week, Aaron, was for camera spotting.
I actually figured.
I had totally forgotten about that, and I remember at the time being confused. But, yeah, makes sense.
I knew exactly what it was.
And as well, if you had done so well, I of course would have given you the reminder about the alarm system on the ground floor, which you ended up assuming right anyway. But yeah, cameras on the exterior and cameras definitely in the stairwells.
And I assumed I was missing them as well. Like, out of character.
Now, you might have ended up being able to do something about those, but then things went belly up.
Exactly.
But of
And
course,
since I
none of
didn't-
that information would have ever made it onto the news media. The worst possible incident would have been for a major national news outlet to do an expose on it. It's somehow escaping the attention of every vampire, and it being shown the public to all mortals. In which case, your character would have basically been terminated, and the entire masquerade would have been tossed into the air.
I'm secretly hoping, out of character, for David to end up being put in a situation where he has to display clear and blatant superhuman abilities on, like, live news coverage in order to save someone's life. Like, lift an entire car off of a kid or something.
He's trying to be the vampire Superman. Stop it. You can't be vampire Superman.
Be the one that breaks the masquerade.
Oh my God! I thought this was Byron's job. Was the one that was not
Hey,
convinced to masquerade.
I'm saying out of character.
Oh,
I'm
okay,
hoping
I
this
gotcha.
happens. Like, I'm hoping that David ends up in a situation where he has to go, do I want to throw the masquerade aside and probably my own life, or let this innocent person die? You know, one of those situations. But
Would
then
it be?
again, I'm the
W-
same person who genuinely likes seeing my characters suffer because I find it interesting.
Oh yeah, and this session was pretty interesting in
Oh
that
yeah,
sense.
I really liked this session.
I actually had to go here in a minute, so I think I'm going to end the stream, like, now-ish, so see you later, everybody.
All right, everyone in the chat. There you go. Jordan said his final. See you next week.
And I actually have to go off and do something else. I'll be seeing you next week, Grimith, unless I talk to you before then.
All
See you
right,
later.
sure thing, Jordan.
You wanted to say something, Grimith? I think I kind of talked over
User
you.
disconnected from your channel.
It might have just been something to chat. It's obviously not important now.
Fair enough.
Okay, so I'm glad you all enjoyed the session. There's certainly a lot more progression that could have ended up happening, but I didn't think so much combat would occur.
It was a lot of combat.
It was definitely combat intensive, that's for damn sure.
Yeah, it was pretty much 4 or 5 hours of solid combat with like a half hour, 45-minute intermission in the middle, I think.
Pretty much. But seriously, if David had managed to turn around and shank you with the stake, that would have changed a lot of things. I'm really glad he got put down when he did.
Most definitely. I was actually mentally re-rolling a new character in my head.
Jordan
Yeah.
actually, Jordan sent me an IM while this was going on saying, seriously, just go ahead and kill him. I know it's coming.
Yep, Jordan had definitely given in to the fact, well, he was completely fucked in the clutches of an 8th generation Nosferatu who was on the throes of a frenzy and wanted to see him dead.
In all honesty, if he had managed to stake Byron, the next person getting staked was going to be Marcus. And then Joseph would have gotten
That
picked up
asshole
if
with
he
the
hadn't run
pistol
away.
who keeps shooting at my head.
Yeah, I mean,
Ping,
at that
ping
point
off
he
the
would have
pump.
had to obfuscate and run away.
Certainly. That could have been an interesting situation. Just like,
But
fucking obfuscate.
But
I
I
mean,
am
it
kind
just,
of oh, sorry. I was kind of interested though if you had turned around and attacked Byron, since at that point I had used 9 blood points, so I was up at 6 strength, 6 dex. I didn't have celerity, but I was kind of curious to see how much of a fight Byron could put up.
not much, because you hadn't boosted stamina.
I did 1. I probably would have dumped another few points in that if you had turned on
That's
him,
fair.
but not
That's
after
fair.
that, you know.
But yeah, I think that it would have only been a couple of actions before he ended up staked, in part because of celerity, and in part because I can spend Vitae to turn potents into automatic successes.
Yeah, I would have used both lucky points he had left. So
Yeah, you should have.
I mean, you heard me try to use 1, so, but
And here I am
would've
like,
used-
no, it looks like failed rolls. You technically succeeded.
You were entirely correct on that. I was just, I was hoping. I was crossing my fingers.
I mean, out of character, I was really rooting for you guys, but that wasn't going to change me trying to kill you guys.
No, of course not. I mean, I think we all could tell that you wanted us to win, but you were not going to hold back.
Oh no. Which, I mean, I think that's kind of the way Grimith was with, you know, those 3 vampires that attacked. He wanted us to win, but he wasn't going to hold back.
I was kind of like, well, I mean, if vampires are going to attack, they're not going to be in a situation where I'm not going to spend any of my blood points. No, they're going to devote most of their blood pool to ensuring that they, at the very least, don't die. And Jordan's character got a free axe out of it.
Maybe later he's gonna ask them a new question.
Fucking jacked his axe, man. What the fuck?
Alright, I'm probably gonna head out too. I might be on Space Station 13 if you guys play on there at all.
All right, Aaron. As for, yeah, again, as a reminder to you, Cripson, and you, Sean, just, feel free
User
to talk
disconnected from your channel.
amongst yourselves and with Marcus's character to just give me an idea of just, like, it can be like a notepad 5 pages long or whatever. Just a whole list of what you all care about, attempting to look at doing. Certainly the police, by the way, they would have responded to all the noise, and they would have perhaps, poked around interestingly at the abandoned building, but it's part of the 114th precinct, so you all will certainly end up being in contact with Mikhail Vargas in that regard.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's I believe Evelyn will take point on that. She'd probably call me about it, and I would let Marcus and Joseph know. But Byron would probably be taking care of that as well as he could.
Okay. But yeah, there's a whole lot, since, the whole world's going to keep active over the course of the month, so anything that you can think of that your characters might want to take care of over the next 30 days, basically. Just things that you might be looking out for. I'll tell you, there's not going to be any combat situations, regardless of what your characters might think. I want to have all of the players together again, and ultimately, I suppose, one thing I forgot to do too. I'll mention this to David and Jordan as well. With everything you guys have survived, you will be getting a willpower point back.
Sure, right after I close all my windows.
I know. I have my shit closed too. It's fine. I'll remind you all whenever we get back to the session. Of course, your blood pools will, after a month of hunting, be up to maximum -1.
Fantastic. And fully healed too, I expect?
Yeah, I imagine that would have been concerns that your characters would be taking. You have an entire month, and you're supernatural vampires. I think you all can handle it.
Well, I'll try to get that list to you at the latest on Tuesday. We'll see.
And again, you feel free to take time about it, and I really do encourage you all to interact with one another. It's a month of time, so your characters are in this together as a coterie, and it's a big deal.
Definitely. I will be. Byron will be interested in what Marcus finds out at the middleman. For sure.
I will be getting to him with that information once he lets me know exactly what he feels of trying to do with his performance.
Yeah, I actually look forward to that. I think that'll be a cool event for him. Just telling you what I want to do with my character eventually is have a one-on-one with Valentine or something. That's what Byron is, of course, gooding at. He's gooding at it.
It's probable that Byron, given the fact that it is publicly known about his unconvinced status, that he might end up just getting stonewalled by upper-class kindred society. He's kind of made his ideas apparent. That's part of the consequence of the unconvinced flaw. Consequently, it's just possible that he might not be able to get into a situation, at least as well as he's hoping, without.
Yeah, the way you might be. I mean, yeah, your interpretation is of course valid. It was a 1-point flaw, though. And so
That's true. It's going to be harder for him to get his foot in the door.
Right, that makes sense.
Yeah, and it just, even if okay, I know it's only a 1-point flaw. There's also the fact that you're just a neonate who's only been in the city for a few months. And the Harpies are, of course, the higher echelon of kindred society, as well as Valentine is, with a strong public opinion about things. He matters in kindred politics.
Right. Another thing to look forward to, and this is not something he's going to do immediately, but hey, excuse me, cats. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, she likes to stand right in front of the mic. It's really annoying. If I start echoing, that's why. Um, he's going to want to know, I mean, me personally, actually, Byron doesn't give a flying fuck. How possible is it to get rid of that flaw? I'm assuming it'd take a lot of points, but um,
Not points. It's something that you'd have to role play out. If your character
right.
starts to, say the right things about, yeah, camera roll is totally a good idea. I didn't know what the fuck I was thinking. My sire was teaching me stupid shit. It's gonna take a process of you smoothing over.
Let's assume that Byron is trying to do that now. He might not be totally convinced on his own, but he's stopped saying that crap. He's trying to. It's been said. He can't take back what he said, but he is definitely tried to stop saying it.
Okay, that's definitely fair to do. In that case, that might end up making things in the future easier, although the kindred with their unlives might not forget a damn thing.
Oh heck no! 200 years later, some guy's gonna say, "Hey man, I remember." If he lives that long, "Hey man, I remember you were such a dumbass when you, when you were
Remember
in New
that
York."
time back in Luxembourg when you're like, oh god, no, not the story again.
Exactly. Oh well. I guess I'm gonna head out too. I need to go find something to eat, and um, I'll definitely get that information to you. And I will be chatting on the Skype channel for sure in the coming week. But I don't know if everyone exactly answered, but I'm fine with the next Saturday date. I don't know if I'll need much more time.
Okay, certainly.
All right, and thanks again that was a super session. I liked that. I liked Byron finally getting smacked around a little bit.
You fucking sick bastards. Aaron wants to see his character thrust into hell. You want to see your character thrust into hell. What's
Am I
wrong
the
with
only
you?
guy that actually cares about my character?
Market, Jordan wants to see Marcus dead. Just kill me now.
I'm the only one that wants to see my character succeed.
Which is funny because you didn't put yourself in the best position to succeed.
It isn't that. It's kind of, I want Byron to grow a little bit. Right now, he's had the easy life. He's not had much trouble. And it would be interesting for me to see him, like, people slamming doors in his face. He's not used to this. It's actually pretty hard. Like when I was at the Middleman, how everyone was more attractive than he was. Not used to that. Not used to people snubbing him. And definitely not used to being unable to talk someone out of like beating him up. This is a first for him. He's never been hit in his life. So there's that too.
Looks like the Malkavian's caregiving nature is much harder now that he knows that all the other player characters actually want to kill themselves.
Not only is he wandering over what this feels like children, they're suicidal children.
God damn it. I knew I should have stayed in Flushing. This sucks.
But at least, and I mentioned it during the stream as well. There are no hard feelings between Byron and Joseph now on his end. Yeah, you killed that guy in cold blood, but you also put a raging Nosferatu on his ass, which I think it's a good trade.
And I did one thing to just remember that you may think of that it wouldn't be something Joseph would mention. He's not looking for any kind of glory or anything. Um, is that all of those times I could have just walked away, and everyone knows that at this point. I think I've made it clear that at any point, I think I've made it clear that I have 4 dots in character. I think I mentioned that at some point. Um, but yeah, at any point I could just have walked away from either of those fights,
Yeah.
and no skin off my nose.
Joseph can tell you all to get fucked. Not even Marcus has a chance of seeing Joseph, because Marcus only has 3 dots in Auspex. He would need to have at least 4 to attempt to see Joseph, and those were the character decisions that Sean made whenever he decided to put everything into the obfuscate discipline.
Yeah,
which I haven't really got much of a chance to use.
yeah. Well, I'll tell you, I noticed that. I was watching, and I was like, man, any second he's going to bolt. But in character, Byron, he didn't notice. He was too into himself and whether he was going to get his ass kicked. But he did appreciate you saving his ass. So there's that. So
That was
tangentially.
at the end there. That was actually the idea. I wanted both of them, the guy with the shotgun and the guy that was carrying the axe, to follow me, but only the shotgun, and get them out away as far as possible, and then just disappear.
Yeah, Byron did notice that. That's why when I left that building, how I turned left and you had turned right. Yeah, I saw which way you ran. Byron ran the other way.
No, it's certainly a great thing that Joseph can certainly do. In situations like that, he might end up having to make a wits plus stealth roll so that he stops making noise. But beyond that, there's no way in hell most vampires are gonna be able to spot him. And any vampire that could is probably a Tremere, in which case you don't want to be near to them anyway.
Oh, one thing I wanted to ask, what is the possibility of me finding someone to teach me dementation?
Well, that is pretty much the exclusive role of Malkavians. And being a Malkavian yourself who could genuinely connect with that, that's not difficult at all. What sort of opportunity are you looking to trade in with that? Because obviously, any Malkavian you come across is going to be knowing Obfuscate too. What are you offering?
Well, I mean, if they want to learn something from me, that would be a perfectly fair trade. If not, I would have to say it would be a case by case, depending on what Malkavian's willing to teach it to me, what they want in return.
There's certainly 2 Malkavians who live within Flushing itself, due to the fact that it's a prominent Asian neighborhood, along with those 3 Assamites. It's just a situation where the best case would be handled like a discipline by discipline trade. You're not going to be able to find anyone who understands dementation like a Malkavian. I really can't say any of the other super powerful vampires in the entirety of the city.
Oh, no,
Except for Malkavians know it, yeah.
yeah, I'm not expecting anyone Malkavian to know it. It's one of the ones that is really, really exclusive, even though you'd think Malkavians would be more likely to be loose-lipped with that kind of thing.
Right, although you might want to spread the insanity about it's just a situation where, from what I hear from how the book lore describes it, only a Malkavian can really get a grasp on it.
Yeah, let me cut you off here for a second. I'm leaving. I didn't want to leave without saying goodbye, so I'll talk to you in a bit.
Oh, okay.
Just trying to be polite, you know.
Fuck you! No, it's okay.
Talk to you later.
User disconnected from your channel.
But it's certainly possible that you could. It just have to be a case-by-case basis where it's end up being evaluated and looking into that. You can certainly spend time, mentioning how you're interested in learning dementation itself, in which case, knowing that you're a child of Malkav, other children of Malkav might be, confused. They want to know how you fell off the bus, what exactly went wrong in the transition, why you don't already know it.
Hey, I got the crazy. I just get the infliction, and I want to learn to inflict it.
The channel and spread it to others, yes. But you're a likable enough sort, especially if you ended up talking with one of the vampires, because you're sort of known. At least the Joseph Chung's non-denominational church. It could happen.
Okay, so I think that's what I'll go for before Auspex. I think I want 1 point of that and then 1 point of Auspex, just so I've got I've rounded out, and I don't have to worry about that anymore.
Alright. Now, are you sure that you think the dementation is more important than Auspex?
I think that it'll be more useful in the long term. I think once I get a couple of points into it, I think it's 3 points is where the one I want. where you really start wrecking shit whenever you want to, just wrecking people's plans.
Am I fucking with their heads?
Well, I mean, once you turn someone into a gibbering wreck, I mean, it's a pretty good way to get out of situations. It gives me a way to get out of situations myself in case things go horribly, horribly wrong. Gives me a way to get other people out of situations. It's all just different ways of playing the field.
Right. It's like you look at Byron, you're like, oh yeah, good job, you made him drop his axe. Now I'm gonna make him lose his mind.
Puts domination shame.
Like, yeah, demontation, the most powerful discipline in the game.
Um, okay, but I think that's all I wanted to. I'm already writing up the rest of the things I want to note, but most of that's I think talking with the group.
Yeah, feel free, again, as I've stressed so many points, feel free to just take your time and whatever you want to do about it, since this is everyone's session.
Okay, bye.
Okay.
User disconnected from your channel.
Well, that's just me recording, and I think that goes ahead and wraps up Chapter 4 session. Whew. It's, certainly was fatiguing. That we've had experience before with a little bit of combat. That's the most combat that we've gotten ourselves into. And, I try not to set my expectations in the one, like, set path. A bit repetitive on my part. If only because, I have so many years playing tabletop role-playing games, and there's so much time that I've spent, as this overarching storytelling figure that I don't put everything in stone. Something that many people have difficulty understanding is that I don't play the most important role here. I set the stage. I end up having the most time-consuming role. I create the scaffolding and I do research, but it's the players who tell the story. And that's just something that so many other people don't understand who are in the tabletop thing. It is not the purpose of the DM, the GM, the storyteller, whatever you want to call that referee title, to tell the story. I'm not looking to railroad the player characters into doing anything. It's I enjoy the sandbox feel. If you don't want to play in a sandbox, there are so many other games that are open to you where the rails have been set. Neverwinter Nights module, for example, or Baldur's Gate, something like that, where obviously it's very difficult for the game designers to create a sandbox. Here, at the table, or at the virtual table, I have so many opportunities open to me that I can give the players. I can invest my time just giving them so many facts and tidbits and just let them run free with it. It's not exactly a whole lot of pleasure I take myself in that, I'm obviously borrowing elements. I'm researching heavily into the various supplemental books, including the New York by Night book, to try to continue to understand what this World of Darkness setting is like. It hasn't been an easy process, but it has been a rewarding one. I've enjoyed scrapping this together, painting up things, and just seeing how the players respond to stimuli. Now, I understand that not everyone can do that. Not everyone is capable of rolling with the punches and ad-libbing things. And it is certainly so much harder to improvise whenever you're unfamiliar with the rule system. I frequently I have to keep the game book open constantly. You guys have to see that a bit in the mini session where I'm just frantically flipping through pages, trying to understand what a particular situation might be. And White Wolf doesn't help because they keep things vague. And they keep things vague because they don't want you to look at the book. And they don't want you to look at the book because they want you to actually tell the fucking story and get on with the goddamn session. But I like crunch. And I like fluff. And White Wolf tends to cater more towards fluff than crunch. Still, I like the meta plot and everything that's thriving and throbbing around here, and all the players, despite the difficulties that they faced in this session, um, have obviously enjoyed it as well. I still do experience that sense of guilt, that frustration, and I did spend a lot of time thinking about whether I wanted those three vampires, Matthew, Stefan, and Dante, to attack the player characters, the coterie. Um, I figured maybe they would put it off. Maybe you could just wait. Maybe the player characters can continue to be followed. We'll just spend an entire month where things are being thought of. But these NPCs weren't that smart, and they had their own reasons for doing what they did, reasons that I crafted. I could have fudged things, could have scrapped it. No one would have ever known that I had done that except for me. But ultimately, I thought that this was the better decision. The world of darkness is a dangerous, lethal place, and the player characters need to learn that, other people want them dead, and they have to do more about their safety than carrying around little fucking knives. They have to think more about the fact that they have to, in a sense, be paranoid about their own protection. And them as neonates, they're of course learning that, and ultimately they all managed to escape. They didn't die, and the enemy NPCs, I decided from the get-go, were pretty disorganized. They didn't want to go running off too far and get separated from the others because they were worried and scared that they might get ambushed themselves. They had spent most of their blood pool on increasing their physical attributes, and they thought they could quickly crush the player characters despite knowing vampire weaknesses and strengths because they themselves were vampires. For example, Matthew just thought that, the shotgun would be able to blast someone away, quickly wound them, and he'd be able to hunt them down. They'd never be able to escape the room. And they put up more of a fight. In that case, the victors, the enemy NPCs, decided to do perhaps some other things that they had come to that establishment to do. Maybe they were looking for something. Perhaps something that was no longer there. But they didn't have that much time because, naturally, with all those gunshots and the fact that Evelyn would have heard the situation, would have reported to the police. And the police are a significant part of the domain security of the coterie. Given how well connected they are, it's, obviously the police are going to come rushing to the aid. So things obviously didn't work out well for either the player characters or these enemy NPCs. Who are they? Probably Sabat. Possibly not. These things and more, player characters and of course those of you who continue to listen will have to discover. Okie doke. Thank you for tuning in. Please feel free to leave feedback concerning the campaign. So many of you have already been doing such. I will forward statements and comments and questions to the players. I again forgot to ask them whether it was okay to reveal their character sheets. I forgot to do that last session too. I'm thinking that I might end up making the first pages of each of their character sheets. They're each 4 pages long. Available for downloading, or I might just send them all to you. Just fucking everything. And that's information that you can all have and discuss. I don't know. We'll see. It'll take some time before I get to upload this anyway. But yeah. It's the end of the session, Chapter 4, and Chapter 5 will pick up sometime in mid-February. What will become of New York City? I haven't fully decided. It'll be interesting for me to play around with. Take care, everyone.